In a few short weeks, this is what my front lawn is going to look like. So today, I'm going to be preparing this almost 30-year-old lawnmower for its winter sleep. Today's process starts with the fuel system. I'm adding this fuel stabilizer to the tank to ensure that the entire fuel run has had the stabilizer pass through it. That's the lines, the carburetor, the intake manifold, everything. Modern fuel has a tendency to crystallize over a prolonged period, causing nothing but problems. Using this stabilizer has worked well in the past. For this last mow, I've removed the side discharge chute and I'm lowering the deck to get a really short cut. As I was finishing the backyard cut, I noticed the mower was beginning to sputter from fuel starvation. I don't like to store any of my engines with fuel in them. My goal here is to run the mower until the fuel system is completely dry. Since the carburetor bowl will still have some residual fuel in it, this next step here will completely empty it. This particular model of carburetor does have a drain plug on the bottom. I remove it using a 1/2-inch wrench. For years now, I've been using a water bottle that I've modified to fit inside my motorcycle frame to drain the bike's dual carbs. Here, I'm using it to capture the last remaining fuel in the mower's carb bowl. This is a close-up of the bowl drain plug. Not only does it seal the bowl to the carburetor housing, it also acts as the main vent that supplies the pilot jet in the carb. Here, I'm using a small piece of copper wiring to act as a pipe cleaner for the very small passages in the plug. The soft copper wire will not harm the brass plug and does a good job of cleaning any debris that has formed. I often use this method when the mower is running poorly, like when it's surging or when it stalls for no reason. Sometimes just a quick cleaning will fix that problem. With the bowl empty, this ensures that the float will drop down and the needle and seat will not be in contact with each other, preventing any sticking issues in the springtime. The last step here is to tighten the plug back up, but not too tightly. This is a brass bolt threading into a cast aluminum housing. I don't want to damage anything here. While I'm in the area, I thought it was a good time to change the air filter. This dirt has accumulated after only one season. Doing this procedure now means that the springtime I can get right on to mowing without having to worry about trying to buy a new filter. With the engine still warm from running, now's the best time to drain the oil. Any dirt or sludge will still be floating in it, and warm oil flows quicker than cold oil. Here, I'm checking to see if there's any dirt, sludge, metal filings, etc. Changing the oil now protects the engine by removing any byproducts of ignition that could cause corrosion inside the crankcase over winter. I'm using the recommended 30 weight oil for the fill. I purchased the oil in large 5-quart jugs and refill a small 1-quart bottle because the smaller size is easier to handle during this procedure. The clean oil on the dipstick is very difficult to see in the photograph, but what I'm ensuring is that the level is just below the full mark. Now, I'm going to address the mowing blade. Tipping the mower back like this does not cause any problems for the engine because the cylinder is at the very top and the carburetor is on the side, so no oil will seep into these two critical areas. On this particular model, removing the blade is a simple process of just removing a 9/16" bolt. As you can see, all of the dead grass is really built up inside the deck. We'll be addressing that shortly. I'm using a brass wire wheel to remove some of the dried grass stuck to the blade. My concern is, if left, the residue might affect the balance of the blade later. And here you can see the result of the clean blade. Now I just grab my grinder with an 80 grit flap wheel and give it a good sharpen. I'm just balancing the blade on a screw screwed into the side of one of my workbenches. Attaching the blade is just the reverse order. Put the yoke on first, the blade, the spring, and the bolt. I'm using a box end wrench here to get a better purchase than I would with a ratchet and a socket. I want this fine threaded fastener to be tight so it won't fly off during use. Now is a good time to check the spark plug. I can learn a lot about how the engine is running by reading the plug. If it is wet and oily, I know I've got an oil problem with either the rings or the valve stem seals. And if it's black and fouled, then I know it was running rich and the carb needs adjustment. This plug looks dry and slightly brown, which is exactly how it should. So I am confident to run it for the next season. And now, let's address the mess that's under the mower deck. After a short lunch break, I'm turning to my pressure washer to give the unit a complete hose down. I have allowed the mower to completely cool down for this because soaking down a hot engine could be damaging to its vital parts. I start with a slightly wide nozzle for the general cleaning, and then I switch to a fine, narrow nozzle to attack that really heavy, caked-on junk. Leaving this grass stew present can attract moisture over the winter and mix with the natural acids in the grass, leading to the deck rotting away. You can see here how well this process works. Now this step is totally unnecessary. I just like to apply my favorite silicone spray to all the plastic parts to not only clean and shine them, but to help protect them so they don't deteriorate prematurely. At this time, I'm going to address two issues that needed attention for some time now. The first issue is with the rear stone guard. You can see here that the old one has dried out and become brittle and broken. I purchased a generic replacement from Amazon, and to my surprise it has the exact same profile as the original. It's just a little bit longer, needs to be trimmed down. In order to remove the original stone guard, I have to remove the wheel. I'm in the basement workshop now, and I'm ready to trim up the new stone guard. I get to use some of the cool tools now. Using a 60-tooth all-purpose blade makes short work of the soft plastic part. Here, I've chucked up a small cutting wheel to my Dremel tool to cut the slots to attach it to the mower. Once I've attached the stone guard back onto the deck, I'm addressing the second maintenance issue I've got. These axles are almost 30 years old and are worn out and allow the wheels to wobble quite badly. I picked up 2 pairs of replacement axles for older style mowers at my garden store on clearance for $5. Hopefully they'll last another 30 years. I know I certainly won't. The final step here is to apply my favorite rust prevention spray to the underside of the deck to provide protection against corrosion over the storage period. I apply a fairly heavy coating, but as you can see here, there's very little rust on the underside of the deck. I'm just too cheap to buy a newer mower, and if I can hold on to this one and keep it running, I don't mind doing this procedure every fall. And with that, I'm ready to put it to bed for the winter. It's going to trade places with the snowblower right now and spend the whole winter in the backyard shed. Thank you for joining me today behind the red door.